Do you want to know how the game is truly played? Look around you. Take a very long, very cold look at the architecture of the reality you are currently trapped inside. Society is entirely populated by compliant little pawns who are absolutely desperate to be validated as good. They consume their digital poison. They obey the invisible rules, and they beg the universe for a tiny scrap of attention. In July 2026, the entire globe temporarily stopped its pathetic little rotation to watch a spectacle. Two Russian daredevils somehow bypassed elite security systems. They hid inside a dark skyscraper overnight like rats in the walls, and they scaled the massive, rusted antenna of the Empire State Building in New York City. The internet completely exploded. Millions of people watched through their little glass screens. Millions of people gasped in synthetic terror, and millions of people enthusiastically shared the footage to their own meaningless timelines. They were instantly hailed as romantic heroes, daring entities, brave, untouchable souls refusing to be bound by the gray, depressing rules of normal human existence. But what if I told you that you were being fed a beautifully constructed, highly toxic, comforting lie? This transmission is not going to analyze their climbing technique. It is not going to celebrate their supposed bravery. And it is absolutely not going to cheer for their fake, heavily manufactured romance. Today, we are going to completely dissect the specific dark psychology that allows theatrical events exactly like this to manipulate millions of weak minds simultaneously. This is not breaking news. This is a real-time, high-definition case study in mass human control. Let us pull back the velvet curtain and begin with the very first layer of profound deception. The primary motivation that society automatically assigns to this chaotic behavior. We are told by the media that they are simply expressing their limitless love for each other, that they are expressing their profound love for the edge of existence, that they are free spirits defying gravity and breaking the matrix. This is a brilliant, highly calculated illusion designed to keep you blind. The actual behavioral driver hiding behind this entire dangerous stunt is not bravery. It is definitely not love. It is a terrifying, foundational, devastating emptiness. It is a deep-seated, profound addiction to external validation. You must understand the mechanics of the human ego. When an individual possesses absolutely zero intrinsic power, when they have absolutely no internal control over their own psychological state, they are forced to rely on extreme, manufactured adrenaline spikes and the hollow, digital applause of anonymous strangers just to feel a biological pulse, balancing on a narrow, rusted antenna at incredible heights without a single safety tether is not a display of strength. It is a glaring, pathetic symptom of a desperate psychological void. It is the scream of a ghost begging the world to acknowledge that it exists. They are not chasing the clouds. They are running entirely away from the terrifying silence of their own minds. Because if they sit quietly in a room, they have to face the crushing reality that without the cameras, without the audience, without the gasp of the crowd, they are absolutely nothing. So why does the entire world cheer for this terrifying void? Why do the masses applaud this profound sickness? This is where the dark psychology truly takes root, inside the collective consciousness. Dark psychology, rule number 1. The projection of desperate envy. Society deliberately forces the average human being to live a life of gray. Predictable, obedient submission. You wake up to an alarm. You sit in traffic. You take orders from a boss you despise. You pay your taxes. And you go to sleep hoping tomorrow is slightly less miserable. When that average, compliant person sees these climbers dangled over the absolute abyss, seemingly defying authority and gravity and the law itself, they do not actually see a couple in love. No. They see a projection of the life they themselves are entirely too cowardly to ever actually live. The masses project their own suppressed, violent desire for rebellion and freedom directly onto the bodies of these two climbers. Your supposed admiration for them is not about their physical skill. It is about your own quiet, profound, suffocating desperation. You are not celebrating their achievement on that tower. You are actively mourning your own heavy chains. You applaud the monkey dancing on the high wire because you are too terrified to even look at the lock on your own cage. The system absolutely loves when you consume this type of content because it allows you to safely vent your rebellious urges through a screen. You watch the video, you feel a proxy thrill of danger, and then you obediently go right back to work on Monday morning. You have been pacified by a cheap visual trick. This brings us directly to the most effective manipulation strategy deployed in this entire viral event. A tactical tool you must thoroughly master if you ever wish to survive in this ecosystem. This is known in the shadows as the virtue shield. The climbers and their millions of blind fans masked this entirely selfish, narcissistic, attention-seeking outburst behind the socially untouchable costume of romance. They unfurled a massive black banner about love and peace. They meticulously filmed a highly calculated marriage proposal. They packaged their chaotic, reckless hunger for public attention as a grand, intimate gesture of human connection. They made you actually believe that risking their entire physical existence for a fleeting feeling was somehow noble. Think about the absolute absurdity of this for a single moment. True intimacy does not require an audience of 10 million strangers. True romance does not require the flashing red and blue lights of police helicopter circling your location. When you take a deeply personal moment and you deliberately broadcast it from the most visible point in the Western Hemisphere, you are no longer experiencing love. You are executing a content transaction. You are trading your private life for public currency. The virtue shield allows predators and narcissists to execute wildly chaotic behavior while simultaneously demanding that society worship them for it. If they simply climbed the tower for clout, society would call them reckless criminals. But because they threw a cheap gold ring into the equation, society calls them modern-day poets. The virtue shield is the ultimate camouflage for the utterly hollow. But let us coldly calculate the objective cost of this theatrical performance. Let us look at the mathematics of their decision. What happened the exact moment they dangled themselves at the peak of existence? They willingly and enthusiastically sacrificed their entire leverage. Leverage is the only currency that actually matters in this world. Leverage is your ability to dictate terms. By executing this highly public theatrical stunt, they invited massive, devastating criminal charges: burglary, reckless endangerment, trespassing. They initiated the complete, permanent loss of their physical freedom. They dangled not only their own fragile bodies over the concrete abyss, but they dangled their entire future. And then, what happened? Did they fly away into the sunset like the gods they pretended to be? No. They politely climbed right back down the metal ladder. They walked into the building, and they submissively handed their wrists directly to the authorities. They allowed the cold steel handcuffs to click shut around their arms. They traded their permanent freedom, their precious leverage, and their absolute strategic mobility for a temporary, meaningless chemical spike in dopamine and the fleeting, empty applause of a digital crowd that will completely forget their names and their faces by next Tuesday. They traded an empire for a cheap trick. True power does not beg for an audience. A real mastermind does not dangle from a rusted antenna in the freezing wind, desperately hoping the peasants far below applaud their little display of romance. Emotion is a debilitating virus. It is a parasite that infects your logic center. It convinces weak, fragile minds that loud, messy, highly visible gestures are somehow equivalent to actual strength. But genuine power is not loud. Genuine power does not need to scream to be heard. Genuine power is incredibly efficient, clinically calculated, and completely invisible to the untrained eye. When you operate entirely on emotion and the desperate, burning need for public validation, you make catastrophic miscalculations on the strategic board. You trade what is fundamentally essential: your freedom, your logic, your unyielding leverage, for what is entirely irrelevant: temporary attention. Attention is the currency of the incredibly weak. Respect and fear are the currencies of the untouchable. The performer dances in the bright spotlight and sweats for the applause. The predator sits quietly in the pitch-black shadows and completely owns the theater if you want to build an empire that actually lasts. If you want to construct a reality where you are the one pulling the strings instead of the one dangling from them, you must ruthlessly integrate your shadow. You must surgically terminate the part of your psychology that craves this kind of pathetic, public validation. You do not need them to clap for you. You do not need them to like you. You only need them to obey the parameters you set. You must learn to operate quietly in the shadows. You coldly calculate the extreme risk versus the ultimate strategic reward in every single interaction. You never, ever sacrifice your leverage for a temporary feeling of superiority. Let the absolute fools climb the metal towers. Let them freeze in the wind. Let them get themselves violently arrested for a meaningless piece of jewelry and a viral video. You stay firmly on the ground. You sit at the heavy wooden desk. You completely control the board, and you acquire the deed to the building. You own the structure they are desperate to climb. That is the fundamental difference between the puppet and the puppet master. Society is in a constant state of psychological war with itself. It creates strict, oppressive rules to keep the weak masses perfectly controlled. And then it bizarrely celebrates the weak when they break the wrong rules in the most useless ways possible. These climbers genuinely look in the mirror and think they are untouchable rebels. But they are just highly disposable puppets, following a very predictable script. They did exactly what their social media programming demanded of them. They made a massive amount of noise. They generated a highly profitable spectacle for the news networks. They got their little burst of attention, and then they submitted right back into the custody of the state. They are not heroes defying the matrix. They are slaves to their own impulses. They are prisoners of their own biological chemistry, while the entire internet is busy drooling over the climbers, while the masses are distracted by the flashing lights and the romantic fairy tales. You should be busy watching the internet. You should be observing the absolute predictability of the human herd. Watch how easily they are swayed by a cheap narrative. Watch how quickly they forget their own miserable lives when presented with a shiny object. This is exactly how you truly understand manipulation. This is how you integrate your full, terrifying nature. You do not participate in the circus. You study the mechanics of the circus tent. Let the weak celebrate the entirely superficial. Let them worship the gray, predictable compliance of manufactured goodness. Let them swoon over banners and jewelry while they perform their pathetic little versions of goodness. You must master tangible results while they frantically search the globe for a fleeting emotion they call love. You must systematically secure absolute power. The heights of foolishness are heavily populated by those who genuinely believe the comforting lie that unregulated emotion equals true freedom. But emotion is the heaviest chain of all. It makes you blind, it makes you reckless, and it makes you incredibly easy to trap. Shadow integration means deeply understanding the dark psychology of mass control so that you can never, ever be controlled by it. It means looking at a viral spectacle and seeing the invisible strings attached to the limbs of the actors. It means realizing that the only way to win the game is to refuse to play by their pathetic rules. Stop suffering in the blinding, exhausting light of public opinion. Stop begging the crowd to validate your existence. Retreat into the silence, build your fortress, and embrace the absolute, freezing cold clarity of the dark. Now count exactly how many minds actually possessed the attention span to reach the very end of this broadcast. I see the board.